Hi guys, welcome back to another Making My Brother Play Tome games. I'm Kaylin,
I'm Nathan.
and last time we are in Chapter 6 of Heisuke's Route. We went back to the headquarters one night to find that Sanan had created just like an army of the Furies to obey his every whim. And also he captured Sen and made her a Fury.
Oh, she's a Fury.
And
Fury
so
Princess.
Fury Princess, yeah.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a
that.
really bad 80s movie.
Or like a really terrible erotica novel.
Oof, don't even start that now. Don't even start that.
So anyway, a lot of bad things have happened to the Shinsengumi. They lost the battle at Kofu Castle. They lost Harada and Nagakura because they left the Shinsengumi altogether. Kondo,
Also lost Inoue and...
Inoue and Yamazaki were killed before. Yeah. And Kondo was also captured and killed.
No more Kondo.
No more Kondo. And so they've retreated, and now we figured out that Sanan is part of the Sendai domain, and so Hijikata is sending Heisuke after him, and we decided to go with him.
So here
And that's where we're at now.
And we're about ready to go find Sanan and put an end to this bastard.
Let's get him. Perhaps it's the influence of the Shinsengumi. Hijikata and I looked at one another for a moment, smiling. I hadn't seen him smile like that since Kondo passed away. I stood up and moved toward the door. Just before I left, Hijikata spoke, his voice low.
Heisuke.
Take care of Heisuke.
I'll try.
Oh, excuse me.
I stepped through the door, and Hijikata was gone. Suddenly I felt very lonely. Now we're leaving the Shinsengumi. I made my way to Heisuke's room to find him leaning against the wall, his hand clasped to his chest. His hair was pure white. Uh-oh.
Urgh.
Urgh. Heisuke? It was bloodlust.
Damn it, again.
My hands were shaking, but this had to be done. I was going with him. There was no backing out now.
Might as well just keep up with the common procedure.
Yep. I didn't hesitate. When I thought of how much pain he was in, I barely even felt the blade as it sliced neatly through my skin.
This blade sliced through my skin.
Neatly through my skin. How nice. Here, Heisuke, drink.
But...
He hesitated, trying desperately to look away from the blood slowly dripping down my arm. You have to. It'll all be for nothing if you die now.
You're right. I can't die yet. Not until...
We gotta kill Sanan first.
Sorry, Naomi.
Like an animal tending to a wound, he began to slowly lick the blood from my arm. The more he drank, the steadier his breathing became. I could see the pain fade from his face. A part of me felt happy then. He was suffering, true, but in some small way I'd been able to help. When at last the pain had faded, he spoke, his voice weak and hoarse.
Sorry. It helped. You staying here, I mean.
If it happens again, I don't want you to be afraid to ask me for help, okay? After all, I've decided to go to Sendai with you. I wanted to be by his side wherever he went, Sendai or anywhere else. My mouth turned up in a smile as I looked at him, but the next words he said broke my heart.
No, you have to stay here, Naomi.
What?
Here. You have to stay here.
Not gonna happen. I hadn't misheard him. For a moment I was silent, and then anger and sadness swept over me like a storm. Why? If anyone should stay put, it should be you. Look at how much pain you're already in. If you do find Sanan and fight him, you'll have to use your fury power, and then...
And what? I'll turn into ash? Really think that matters? Been like this for a long time. Would be surprised if I crumbled into ash tomorrow.
That's cheery. There it was, the anxiety and fear that had hovered beneath the surface ever since he'd learned of the truth of every Fury's fate, given words at last. But it made him feel no better to finally speak them. If anything, it only hurt him more. His shoulders slumped, and he stared down at the floor.
I can stop Sanan. I have to. Hell, I already died at Aburano Koji.
Good job.
It's already a miracle that I'm talking to you right now. I'm a dead man, so I might as well take Sanan with me when I go.
Choices. I'm gonna stick a quick save state here, just in case.
How can you say that or calm down? Both are kind of the same thing here, aren't they?
Not really? I don't know. These choices are somewhat difficult, though.
No kidding, because
yeah.
It's difficult to give either one of those choices context.
Any actual idea of what she's actually going to say.
Yeah. She kind of blurts out exactly the opposite thing of what I thought she was going to say. Sometimes.
Yeah. May I offer a suggestion?
No.
Okay.
Bugger off.
Then just go for it. Go with whatever. Go with your gut.
I'm gonna go with my gut.
Go with your gut.
Usually he kind of seems to do better when we kind of correct him.
He likes you getting angry at him. Kind of, yeah. How can you say that?
Oh, what do you know? She actually said
the line.
what I told her to say.
But wait, it could flip around here. Let's see.
Well, I'm gonna die no matter what I do, so I figure it's better to die fighting.
You... Oh yeah, I remember this scene. Okay.
The crack of my palm across his face echoed through the room. We just bitch slapped him.
Bam! How dare you speak that way? My hand burned where I'd struck him. My throat felt tight. Heisuke, you're still alive. His head was facing to the side, where my blow had thrown it. The look on his face was one of shock. I glared at him. But you want to just give up on that? Isn't your life worth anything to you? Aren't your friends worth anything to you? Why would you rather die? Perhaps I could never really understand what Heisuke was going through, and my words were, in reality, callous and cruel. But I couldn't bear to hear him talk about his own life as if it meant nothing. I don't want to lose you.
Naomi, yeah, that's right. I just slapped you.
Slapped you.
Just gave you an industrial slapping.
Take that.
Take that.
I don't want you to give up. I could feel the tears streaming down my face, but I was past caring. There's got to be a way to heal you, to keep you from dying. We can find a way to be together. For several long moments, he was silent. We don't have time. Oh, sorry, that's yours.
We don't have time. Practically dead already. Why are you doing this? I've given up. It's over. Why can't you see that?
His voice was really quiet, and he has tears in his eyes.
For all we know, my legs could turn into ash tomorrow.
Then I'll carry you.
No. And what happens when we try and grab onto our future and my arms crumble away into nothing?
Then I'll do it for you. I tried to smile, to reassure him. After a long silence, Heisuke turned to look at me, and his face was the gentle, friendly one I'd known for so long. Not even the water of life could take that away.
I'm not still that much of a kid that I'm gonna start feeling better just because someone tells me to, alright? And I don't really think there's any way to save a Fury. But I think I can believe in you. And you seem to think there's a way. I don't know when I might die.
He reached toward me, and I felt his hand delicately wipe the tear from my cheek. He smiled.
Points!
Yay!
But I figure I can live a little longer. For you.
Just for me?
Just for me?
Aww.
Oh, how adorable.
We ruin all these things.
Hmm?
We ruin all these things.
We ruin everything.
Oh. We left Shirakawa under the cover of night. The forest that separated the Aizu and Sendai domains spread out before us, dark, thick, and foreign. There was no way for us to know just how much influence Sanan had managed to gain, but once we entered Sendai, we would be in his territory. We decided it was best if we try and enter unnoticed, but... Sup?
What are you doing here? Right, Kazuma.
We could ask you the same question.
それはこっちの
Hey. Oh my gosh.
Call it.
Oh.
I could ask you the same thing.
I've probably played this game too much anyway. The tension between them was so high, each man was practically throwing off sparks. There's a forest. Don't stop.
There's
Don't start a
forest,
forest
yeah.
fire.
Smokey the Bear would be mad at you guys right now if you... Be careful.
Yep.
Just be careful.
Yep. Just calm down, Heisuke. And Kazuma, you didn't come all this way just so you could snark at us, did you? I mean, I would expect that of him.
No, I did not. Came here to kill that vile imposter and take back what is rightfully mine. You are correct that I have no time to play with you. Play? You arrogant piece of...
Please, both of you, calm down. If we make too much noise, they're going to find us. Nothing good would come of fighting each other, and both of them seemed to grudgingly accept it. There were fierce scowls all around, but their hands didn't touch their swords. There was no telling how long the awkward truce might last, though. I sighed. Uh-oh.
Sword drawn. Hurr!
What's happening? In the same instant, both men dropped into a fighting stance and unsheathed their swords. Wait, what are you... doing? The moment they'd drawn their swords, a man had materialized from the shadows behind each of them. Heisuke had struck down the one behind Kazuma, and Kazuma the one behind Heisuke. Both men stepped back and resheathed their swords. Teamwork!
These must be Sanan's furies. Whoa. What's wrong, Naomi? We thought you were about ready to kill each other. That's what we thought.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought that you two were actually about to fight each other.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I sure would love to fight this bastard. If those guys hadn't shown up, maybe I would have. The fight, please, would have been a slaughter. Watch it!
Yeah, okay.
Seems rather strange he would dispatch only 2 men. Perhaps these are only watchdogs placed at the border. A keen insight, Lord of the Kazuma family.
Hey!
Kimikiku.
Kimikiku.
I apologize. My skills do not tend toward direct combat, so I could only watch.
She bowed deeply, and, embarrassed, I gestured quickly for her to stand back up. There was something I wanted to tell her. Kimigiku, about Sen.
I know what happened. If only I had stayed by my lady's side. Even if you had, I doubt you would have been able to help. Hey man, don't be like that!
Kimigiku and Sen were more than just master and servant. They were friends. Perhaps Kazuma's words were true, but they were also harsh.
No, Todo, he's right, alright. He is correct. I'm quite aware that I would likely have been able to do nothing, had I been there. That is why I have been investigating the situation here, in Sendai, while I waited for you. Then you've already penetrated his defenses? What have you found out? Sanan has somehow won the favor of the Lord of Sendai, and is increasing the number of Fury soldiers under his command, almost daily. They're all fanatically loyal to him.
Well, shoot. Before Sanan had disappeared, he had told us that he intended to found a king of the Furies. I hadn't believed him at the time, but if what Kimigiku was saying was true, then his twisted dream might well be on its way to becoming reality. I shivered. Kimigiku, do you know what happened to Sen after Sanan took her?
My lady has continued to resist the Fury blood, and so he has confined her to Sendai Castle.
I saw her fist tighten. Cosmos did the same.
Damn it. I doubt a true demon can be conquered by the blood of a Fury, but no reason to take a chance. I agree. We should move as soon as possible. I'll try and find a way into the castle and join you later. I work better alone.
Well, she is a
assassin.
yeah, she is a ninja also. I don't remember what the term is for female shinobi, but yeah, she's one of those, anyways.
Sendai Castle, huh? Home of the Lord of Sendai Domain. It's gonna be well defended.
Yep. I watched Kimigiku leave, my heart heavy with worry. There was no way to avoid it. We would have to go to Sendai Castle. As I was trying to decide what we should do next, Kazuma turned and began to walk into the forest. Kazuma, where are you going? I think we should stick together.
Don't be ridiculous. We're after the same thing, so we have no reason to fight one another. That does not mean we need to be friends.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend? I wouldn't have expected anything else from him, but to hear it said was a little disheartening. My shoulders slumped. Kazuma glanced at me and then turned away to cough awkwardly.
I'll give you one piece of advice. If there's anything you want to do it now. Tomorrow night at midnight, Amagiri will cause a commotion at the far border.
Uh-huh.
That should draw their attention and leave Sendai Castle at least partially unguarded.
Kazuma. He'd had no reason to tell us that, but he'd chosen to anyway. My rational mind knew that he likely only saw us as a resource to be exploited, but it still made me happy.
You're, pretty well prepared. Kinda expected you to just be the lone wolf type. Unlike you, I'm never unprepared. Ouch.
Wow.
You had to get the last word in, didn't you?
Yep. With one last sneer, Kazuma turned and disappeared into the forest. Heisuke sighed and ran a hand through his hair.
Damn. And I thought he was a pain in the ass when he was trying to kill us.
Well, it's still kind of nice to have him on our side, right? He grumbled in response, and we set off for the castle. It's not the most pleasant of allies. Chapter 7.
Chapter 7. Same time period.
Yep, September
1868.
Yep.
So let's face it, it can't change that much.
Nope. The first thing I noticed as we entered the town that afternoon was how eerily silent it was.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Beautiful. It was the middle of the day, but the streets were practically empty. Even those who did brave them were as silent as the grave. The wind made more noise than any human. The lack of activity made it easier for us to move about unseen, but... Anyway, it hardly seemed fitting for a city founded and ruled by the legendary Date family. If it was this dire and ominous in the daylight, I wondered, what would it be like at night? Creepy as hell. Sendai at night was like the lair of a fantastical villain. So like I said.
Creepy.
Creepy. Sanan's Fury soldiers ruled the town with a fist made of iron and drenched in blood. Terrified of the voracious bloodlust of the Furies, the citizens barricaded themselves in their houses when night fell. With doors shut and lights extinguished, Sendai felt like a ghost town. We saw shapes moving in the shadows, but there was no mistaking them for human. It was like we'd stumbled into a nightmare. It's like the whole town is dead. Town of the dead.
Do you really think Sanan did all this?
Yep. Is this what he wants the King of the Furies to be like? Until we'd arrived in Sendai, I'd hoped that we might be able to convince Sanan to stop and abandon his insane plans. But as I looked around at the dead, empty tomb he'd created, I knew that could never happen. The town was massive, and yet our footsteps were the only sound. There's nobody here.
Makes it easier for us to sneak around, but this is just crazy.
We stood still and listened, desperate for any sign of life. Eh. With our own silenced, I heard footsteps behind us. I turned. There stood a creature who looked human, save for the twisted, hungry grin on his face. It raised a sword. Ah!
Look out, Naomi! Shing!
The creature gurgled as Heisuke's blade struck it, and some of the monster's blood splattered onto his cheeks. It had barely even collapsed to the ground when suddenly the city exploded with motion. Drawn by the spilt blood, human figures appeared from every shadow. But they were not human. Well, crud.
Furies, they found us. Should we fight?
No, that's hopeless. There's thousands of them.
Yeah, you're right. We should retreat. Damn it, they're already here.
Shing! A fury leapt at us then and fell back, dead, Heisuke's blade sliding out of its heart.
Okay, there aren't too many of them. We should be able to get away.
Uh-oh. Well, shoot. Ah! The bloodlust? Now? Just hang on, alright?
Yeah, I know. God damn it, this isn't the time.
His face was stretched with agony, and the color was beginning to drain from it. I was ready to fight in his place if I had to, but I was hardly skilled with a sword. Better to... There, an empty house. Come on, Heisuke, this way. We ran in, and I slammed the door shut behind us. He slumped to the floor, panting. Are you okay? Obviously not. I peered out through the crack between the door and its frame. The Furies seemed to have given up on us, and we were were instead advancing toward the bodies of their fallen comrades. Yay! My stomach turned, and I took my eye away from the crack. It seemed we were safe for the moment, but there was no time to waste. The usual routine.
It seems to be working so far.
It works, yeah. I pressed my sword against my arm until I felt the skin part. Heisuke. There was no need to say anything else. It's routine now. He lowered his head to my arm and began to drink, as if we'd been doing it for years. And we literally almost have, so... His tongue gently touched the skin around my wound, and the dull pain I felt made me feel as if we were connected somehow.
Thanks.
You don't need to thank me. This, I realized, was why I'd come. Heisuke was my friend, and if he needed my help, I would always be there to give it to him. Even in that dead, haunted city, for a moment I felt warm, happy, and safe, and the cut on my arm barely hurt. I'll gladly give you my blood anytime you need it. All you have to do is ask. Or, you know, just collapse to the ground in pain. That's a good sign, too. Time passed, and eventually Heisuke's breathing returned to normal.
You...
Huh?
Saved me again, huh? Thanks.
Saved you? I don't really think I did anything.
Well, you saved me a bunch of times. Even before I became a Fury.
He sat down next to me and gazed off into the distance, at something I couldn't see.
I've been thinking a lot lately. Like, how should I live my life now that I'm some kind of bloodthirsty monster, you know?
You're not a monster.
That's sweet of you. But we both know what I am. Still, I'm alright with being a monster if it gives me the power to protect you. I'm a Fury. This body's just like all those guys I just killed out there. But there's one thing I've got that they don't.
I looked at him quizzically. What one thing? He gave me a gentle smile.
I have you.
Aww. It wasn't fair. How could a smile be so perfect and gentle and bright? Heisuke, if you say stuff like that, you're gonna make me think you...
Well, I do. Furies go crazy without blood, right? I'd go crazy.
He reached for my hand.
Without you.
My heart swelled.
It's taken me a while to realize how I feel about you, but you've always been there for me. Whatever happens, I want to be there for you. So I'm hoping we can, you know, be together.
I had no words to tell him how I felt. Yes would have been far too small to encompass all my emotions.
This is far too romantic. He's gonna die.
Also, we're in the middle of like a ghost town with Furies outside killing each other. Kissing. So I tried something else. I kissed him. He returned my advance with equal passion, and for that moment nothing else mattered. Not even the ghost town outside. His hair brushed against my cheek, tickling it. He nibbled gently at my lips, and I shivered.
Ooh.
Well. Though neither of us spoke, we knew. We loved each other.
Aw.
Aww. Heisuke wrapped his arms around my back, and as he did, I could feel them shake. You can hold me tighter. I won't break, and I'm not going anywhere. So please, don't be shy. He was silent for a moment, and then, almost desperately, he embraced me. He didn't know when the bloodlust might cause him to lose his sanity, or when he might use up his life force and turn to ash. He was scared, but so was I. I couldn't bear to think of our time together being cut short by his death. But there was nothing to say, not then, so I returned his embrace. I wanted him to feel our hearts beating as one. Together we could face the world. When I was scared and confused, Heisuke would lead the way, and when he was likewise, I would take the reins. Some time later, we found ourselves hiding in a small copse of trees facing the gates of Sendai Castle. Nearby we could see several soldiers, likely Furies, on patrol in front of it. The impregnable castle, constructed many years ago by the legendary Date Masamune, now played host to a villain. Date Masamune is awesome, by the way. Look him up historically sometime.
Have to do that. Alright, how should we deal with this? Looks like they've only got 2 guards right now.
Heisuke? Are you really just gonna walk in the front door?
Hey, come on, you make it sound like I haven't thought it through. I have a plan, you know?
Really? Oh, okay.
You know how Sanan thinks, right? I figure he'd guard the back door better than the front.
That seemed reasonable enough. After our encounter earlier, Heisuke seemed to be acting more and more like himself, while I had developed a sudden and extreme inability to look directly in his face without blushing furiously.
You listening, Naomi? Sanan's always been good at outthinking people, so I figured he might not be expecting something so straightforward.
Okay, but don't you think we should find Kimigiku first? She said she was going to find a way in. No sooner had I spoken than we heard the sound of footsteps nearby. Heisuke and I spun around to see not Cosmo or Kimigiku, but...
Oh! Excellent insight, Toto. You almost know me better than I know myself.
Hey!
Then again, I might say the same about myself and you. I thought you might try and enter this way, so I came to have a look around. It seems I was right.
Sanan.
Indeed I am. Shame we haven't seen one another in so long.
Yes, shame that. He was wearing Western clothes now, but even so, his smile still looked the same as it always had. In fact, nearly everything about him looked just the same as I had remembered it.
Happy, yet creepy.
Yet creepy. Except for the dark, sickening dread he seemed to exude from every pore. You know, just that.
You've come all this way just to see my castle? I confess, I'm surprised to see both of you. I only expected Toto. Well, you get both of us. She's not going anywhere. And calling somebody else's castle yours. You sure you're not counting your chickens before they hatch, Sanan? Well, perhaps not all mine. I would say at least 90%. This is where my country will begin to take shape.
Country? Son, you can't be thinking of founding a kingdom of furies. Sanan looked up at Sendai Castle. Darkness had turned it into a massive, ominous monolith, frowning down on the city at its feet in grim judgment. I remembered the Furies roaming the streets in search of blood, and how even during the day the city seemed dead. Did Sanan mean to extend that misery and ugliness to the rest of the domain? To the rest of the country?
Yes.
The thought made me shudder.
And what? You'll be the emperor of this new country? That doesn't sound like you, Sanan. As I said, Toto, you know me well. But I've already told you, haven't I? The ruler of my country will be the Fury Princess. Well, the nominal ruler, at any rate.
No, Sim would never agree to that.
Not now, perhaps. But she'll come under my sway eventually. They all do. I've been feeding her my blood for some time now.
Creepy.
You're not gonna let me talk this out of... let me talk you out of this, are you? Well, just have to stop you then. This world doesn't need a country full of furies.
Heisuke reached for his sword, but instead of drawing his own, Sanan hung his head. The sadness that showed on his face was all the more terrifying for being genuine.
We fought together in the Shinsengumi once, and we both became furies there. You and I are almost brothers, in a sense.
Except for you're creepy.
How is it that we have come to see things so differently?
His eyes narrowed, and he took a step forward like a snake closing in on its next meal.
Well, that's one way to put it.
And we should probably end this episode.
What?
Yep.
Cliffhanger?
Cliffhanger episode again.
You jerk.
Because I'm just that mean.
Alright. Well, until next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.